You being talked about in the National Assembly, that
Yeah,
was a remarkable achievement.
yeah.
And uh, so, like looking back, how tough has this journey been for you? And if you could, let's say, share the three most difficult challenges you faced.
Great. Now, one thing is that the day I was elected, the National Assembly was on, and the Prime Minister mentioned about me that the first Indian, rather first Asian, has been elected. And most importantly, on the vote count day, the vote counting was going to start from 9:30 a.m. And my team was like, okay, we are not going to win, so we'll come around 11:30, 12ish kind of. There were no reporters in my that campaign hall, and so 9:30 was the first result, and after that the 9:30 counting started, and 10 o'clock the result came out, and I was winner.
Okay.
The first count itself I was done kind of, and then like these guys are she was there in that election, and they are like, oh my god, kind of, everybody's running, and then I called her and we are crying like on the phone because she was the pillar there.
Right.
And
I
then
think you won by 6,500
yeah,
votes.
6,700 something, right?
Right.
I'm not
Right.
sure, maybe
Okay.
6,500. So then then everybody came running, but by the time they came, the house was full with reporters, and they were like all cameras and flashes kind of. And then they started interviewing me, and the fourth interviewer was the Tokyo Shimbun, the Tokyo newspaper. And then I said, what is this all about? Why so much fuss? So then he says, Yogi-san, you don't realize. I said, what? Then he is saying, you are the only fifth non-Japanese person to be elected in Japan. Well, I knew that. And then he's saying, you are the first Asian. Means before me, the selected assemblyman, the non-Japanese assemblyman, where the first was from Sweden, second was from US, third was from Canada, and fourth was from Bolivia. So it's all west part of the world, and nobody be on this side kind of, particularly with the colored skin. So he said, you have made the history. A colored skin guy has won an election in Japan. And he says, probably we smell a change in Japan. And that's what New York Times write. Is Japan changing? That is what New York Times wrote. And in fact, my ex-wife, she's a Chinese and she lives in China. And she contacted me. Your news is there in Chinese newspapers.
Oh, wow. So it was all over the world.
Yeah.
I see.
And one of my friends, he was sitting in the Dubai airport, and he is calling me, Yogi, I'm seeing you on the TV at the airport, kind of. So the news is like everywhere. Then like BBC came to interview. Then the Indian TVs, the Japanese TVs. Then it was like pouring of media. So it was a fun. Now, when we started with the campaign, the first challenge was to understand the rules. In fact, when I first went to the ED office, election commission rather, EC office, and I stood before them and I said, I want to declare my candidature. So the officer sitting there, he's like looking at me. Okay, what's your name? Your address? You live in this city? Yeah. And so what do you do? No, first he said, your nationality is Japanese? I said, yes. Then he asked me, what do you do? I said, I'm a director in a Japanese bank. Then immediately he stood up. And then he called his boss. And then his boss came with a card, and like working in a Japanese bank at the director level is a super thing. But honestly speaking, like me becoming the country head of Polaris Software, me becoming a director in a Japanese bank, were not celebrated. In fact, probably I may not be the first, but it's a very rare thing to become a director in a Japanese bank. So those were not celebrated. But in Japan, when I say like I'm a director in a Japanese bank, I put out my card. Even at the embassy, the consul general will stand up. So that's the kind of recognition they give. But so he stood up and then he said, okay. So then he told me like, first you need to understand the things, what the rules are, because Japan's election is very peculiar. So then he gave me some heads up, and then he told me the process that I have to first set up a political association. And then through the political association, then I can do my campaign. I can do my billboards, flyers, and those kind of things. So he explained me that. The toughest part was in Japan. a candidate has to run his election campaign by himself. It's not like he's sitting somewhere and his people are running around. That is absolutely not allowed. There is only one campaign car allowed. It's not like in Hindi you say tafa, right?
Yeah.
What in English you say? It's a what the bandwagon of cars
Yes.
is not allowed. So only one car is allowed for campaign where I should be sitting along with the driver and just two people behind, not more than four. That's the limitation put on there. So when I started my campaign, I had to stand at the station, railway station. Railway station basically because many people use it. It's the central infrastructure. So I used to stand at the station from before 5 o'clock in the morning until 9. At that time I was a banker. So what I used to do until 7:30, I used to do my flyers, go to the bank, work at the bank, come back again, flyers until 12 in the night. Oh my God, it was so tiring. And at the bank, I had 5 departments under me. I have to run those departments, particularly the compliance department was under me, and so many compliance issues day in, day out. I have to handle that. So first thing was the hard work, the long times I needed to put in. Then the second thing is I didn't know how to create the what you call the uh, the like say the board I should be using for the campaign. When I'm standing at the station, I have to create a board that I can use. So I was not aware how to make that board, so we just made one off looking at another person. Luckily, there was another MLA who was running for her seat again, and she was very kind. And then she said, "Yogi-san, she showed me her board, and she said, you can make your board like this." So understanding those small things. And then the third thing, like when I used to stand at the station and do my campaign, there'll be many nasty people who would say, "Go away, you bloody, this is not your country." Initially, very hurting, because I personally have been always helpful to people. I never said no to anybody, whoever approached me. And when I saw those people coming and just saying like that, I used to think, why would these people do something like this? Uh, Whether they had any bad experience with any other foreigner, or they are just that blocked, choked kind of mentality. So it rather put me into a sad thought process. Why the mentality of these people would be like this, and what can be done philosophically, how we can improve this society. So those were really very hurting times. Sometimes I would break the laws, the rules specified for the campaign. So immediately the police would call, and police is actually always on the round, checking that nobody breaks the rules. And if they see that the rules have been broken, they will immediately call my office, and they will say, "You are breaking this rule. Immediately correct it out." So normally they give you a chance for once, but if you repeat it, then your candidature is cancelled, kind of. But they were hardships, but I think again, like, there were good people around. My team was also there, so they supported me, and I think with the support of all these people, I think I could do it. Another challenge was what should be my promise to the community, because when I went into the election, I just went into the election with my problems in my mind, what my experience was. But I needed to know what the community wanted. So I thought what to do. So I created a questionnaire, and I started walking on the roads. I interviewed 300 people. I asked them to answer the questionnaire. I requested them to write the first 3 things that they would like to change. And then, so 300 into 3, of course, there were, what you can say, similar kind of things also were there. So then I put them all those things into Excel. I analyzed those things, and then I finally came out with the 40 most wanted changes. And then I said, okay, these are the 40 changes that the people want. Now then I said, but these are 40 very random 40 things that the people want to be changed. So then I started thinking, how can I put it into a framework? So they have 6 pillar kind of framework in the city, smart city. So I thought, oh, this framework looks nice. So what I did is I put those 40 points into that framework. Under education, people want these changes. Under infrastructure, people want these changes. Against the city governance, people want these changes. So it become a very integrated kind of promise to the community. And I think people like that approach. That okay, this guy has an approach kind of. And I said like but my biggest thing is to bring the communities together. So probably that clicked. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yes. So, so I mean, I must say you really worked hard,
Yeah.
and it's not that like when you were campaigning, you had a lot of people or a fleet of cars with you, and you overcame racism, hurtful sentiments from people, and also because of your community building initiatives.
Yeah. So, after I won the election, actually, few people came to me. Yogi-san, we also want to go into election. So then I used to ask their background, and it's like most of them won't have background like this. I did social work for 14, 15 years, and I had a community connect. My son went to normal public school. I had a connect with the parents and teachers and so many people around there. I joined local communities. I had a connect there. So, it was a 15 years of long process. But after that, many people came to me who wanted a quick success, quick, you can say fame. And so I used to tell them, okay, so if you want to do it, let's start doing it. You first start going and seeing your local assembly. What is the debate going on there? What are the hot topics there? So you start your studies from there. Then I used to tell people like, go and join your local residential communities. Because everywhere in Japan they have residential committees. So go and join there. Ask them how you can help them. But what I saw is there were almost none who wanted to do that. But in the recent election, some others, they ran the elections and they won the elections, which sometimes I feel a bit unfortunate. Well, it's good, like they will bring in some nice thought, but I pray to the God that it doesn't end up in a quick fame, but they really do pour their heart into their work. So I really wish that. And I also wish to train some more sincere people from the community who would in future run for elections. In fact, after I won, I have trained a few guys in US, one guy in the Germany, one guy in the Australia, and the guy in the US, he won just after me. And so I think we are now becoming a chain of international people, international Indians all over the world who will run for elections. Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.